Hey guys, my name is Brian Aoaeh. I am co-founder and general partner at Refashiond Ventures, and uh, today I'm going to be talking to Amit, who will introduce himself shortly. But we're going to be talking about automated freight forwarding for international shipment of perishable goods. Amit, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
My brief introduction is my name is Amit Hasak, and I'm the founder and CEO of Tranship. And Tranship is an automated freight forwarding platform that's designed specifically, but not exclusively, for the international shipments of perishable goods.
Why don't you tell us a bit about your background in cold chain and perishables, and tell us a little bit about why you're building Transship?
Sure. I have about 25 years of experience owning and operating a cold storage warehouse in Chicago. And through the many years of owning and operating that warehouse, we dealt mostly with exporters of perishable goods, mostly pork because we're in the Midwest. And I found out many years ago that these exporters love to sell and collect money, but they hate shipping or exporting. And that's kind of ironic because they're in the exporting business. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized why they found it so frustrating because the industry is pretty outdated, technologically challenged, inefficient, still dependent on manual labor, very costly, with needless phone calls, emails, and even faxes sometimes going back and forth. And that led me to believe that there's got to be a better way. And in 2017, I incorporated Tranship with the idea of automating as much, if not the entire process of freight forwarding. And again, because of my background, specifically for perishable goods.
What are some of the what are some of the specific challenges that companies face when they have to either export or import perishable goods, and which of those two is the bigger market? And then a related question, and this is, and now that I think about it, it's a lot of questions to throw on you all at once. But are there any other digital freight brokers or digital freight forwarders in the perishables market?
Okay, well, I'll start with the first question, and clearly, America imports more than it exports. I mean, that's just the dynamics of the USA today. But that being said, there's about a $275 billion global market for what we're doing, $19 billion just in the US alone. So there's definitely opportunities as far as that's concerned. What traditional freight forwarders do, and they have done for years, if not decades, is rely on manual labor, right? So if you want to process a shipment, you have to either call or email someone, and then it goes back and forth for hours, sometimes days. What we're doing at Tranship is we're incorporating automation such as API technology, blockchain, and document sharing technology, as well as real-time tracking of temperature, humidity, GPS clearly, even any light that may come in for tampering purposes. Um, and so it just meant really to make the whole process easier, more efficient, and transparent. And what's missing today in traditional freight forwarders is information, transparency. Where's my shipment? Why is it not at the port? Why is it not loaded? We provide all that information in real time. Regarding your last question, I'm not sure if there's any other automated freight forwarders in the perishable goods industry. Clearly, Flexport is the one staple of automated freight forwarding. I'm not sure if they do perishable goods or not. If they do, it's clearly not the majority of their business. But due to my co-founder's background, we've really focused in on perishable goods because that's what we know how to do. We do domestic shipments as well, just because there was a demand for it. So we are shipping product to the Mexican border right now. But we're really trying to encompass everything under one roof and letting the people who are in the know, who have dealt with the not so pleasant experience of scheduling shipments internationally, to make that experience much different than what they've experienced in the past.
For someone who's in the business of importing or exporting perishable goods, who is thinking that either one, they themselves need to adopt more technology, or their freight forwarder or freight broker needs to adopt more technology. What pieces of advice would you give them? What should they be looking out for? What are some of the first set of questions that they should be asking?
That's a great question because as far as Tranship is concerned, they don't need any technology. That's the beauty of what we're doing. We're not a TMS system where you have to really invest 50, 100, or even more $1,000 into a TMS system. Our system is set up ready to work with exporters and importers if required. And the API technology, the blockchain technology, the real-time document sharing technology, the tracking technology is all on us. So there's nothing really that our users have to do differently other than logging in, registering, and logging into our website. We have a fast quote tool that you can get a quick quote if you want one, or if you want to book a shipment with us, you can book a shipment. Nothing is committed until you approve a quote that we give you, so there's really no financial risk. So as far as Tranship is concerned, it doesn't require any knowledge of technology whatsoever because we have the technology on our back end. You just register for free as a user and start using us. And unlike traditional freight forwarders, our markups are much less because we rely on technology, not on manual labor. So it's a really cost-effective solution for booking shipments internationally and domestically.
So, so you said your users don't need to adopt any other technology. Is Tranship also in the business of making sensors, the sorts of sensors that companies use to keep track of the conditions in containers and whatnot? Are you doing that too, or are you partnering with someone else who gives you that those capabilities?
Yeah, so what we do, we have our platform that has its own technology involved in it, but a big part of what we're doing is forming partnerships, strategic partnerships with companies that give us added value. So we do have a strategic partnership with a company that does tracking. We also have a partnership with TradeLens, which does blockchain and API connectivity for any Maersk or Maersk related companies. We also have a strategic partnership with an automated insurance company that can provide cargo insurance for about 50% less than what people are paying today. So what we're doing really, Brian, is that we're taking like 5 different components who individually all have a value by themselves. But when you put them together, it's like my fist. They're much more powerful and provide a much greater solution. So, if today you wanted to get tracking or you want to get insurance or you wanted to get, let's say, blockchain or e-billing, you have to go to 4 different sites. What we're doing in Tranship is we're providing the basics of what's required, and on top of that, putting the added value. So you get everything all at Tranship. You don't have to go to 4 different sites anymore.
For people who are thinking, COVID has gone on for long enough and I need to think differently about how I do my business, the question they should be asking is, is this provider, and correct me if I'm getting this wrong or if I'm misinterpreting what you just said, but is this a provider where I can do everything without too much of a headache, or do I need to sign up for something here and then sign up for something else somewhere else and whatnot? It's basically what you're saying, I think.
Right. What typically takes hours, if not days, can now be done in 5 minutes or less, because we also have an autofill or a memory piece in our platform. So yeah, I mean, what is taking extremely long today, and needless phone calls and emails and unreliability and inefficiency pretty much goes by the wayside because of the automation part. And on top of that, we're also very proactive when issues arise, because anybody listening on who's in the logistics business knows that issues always arise on Friday at 5 p.m. when you're about to check out for the weekend, and you get notification that, let's say, a driver missed a cutoff of some sort. We're very proactive when that happens because we give notifications to our users. And not only that, we will provide solutions. So if something goes wrong, we'll tell our users, let's hypothetically say a driver missed a cutoff. The 3 options we suggest are taking them back and getting them unloaded, try next day, having them stay there overnight, having them drive, let's say, to the port of loading. Once our user tells us which option they choose, we will implement that for them, and that way they can go on and go start the weekend, do sales, whatever they want to do.
What's and I'm going to reveal my ignorance of the perishables business, but compared to the non-perishables market, how much more complex is it to to deal with the changing regulations when you move from one country to another, right? So let's say you're shipping something from the United States to Peru or somewhere else in South America. How much more complicated is that than if you were sending, say furniture or clothing, for example?
Yeah, so first, I must say that we don't prioritize big companies or small companies. We provide service to any size company. But when you're shipping perishable goods, the first thing that's obvious compared to dry goods is the time and temperature sensitivity, right? Because if you're shipping furniture and the ship is delayed for whatever reason, it's sitting in the water, nothing can go wrong. On the other hand, if you're shipping frozen meat and the reefer unit breaks down for some reason, let's say in a journey from the U.S. to China, which is about 6 weeks, and for a week there's no refrigeration unit, that product can go bad. We provide that information in real time and let the user know when it arrives at the port if there's been some kind of a issue with the temperature in the reefer unit, and be able to flag it before it's sent to their customer, because that way you can avoid a headache with your customer throwing it out in their facility and saying it's rancid, and kind of avoid a headache. But at the end of the day, shipping perishable goods also requires documentation, and different countries have different requirements of documentation. You always have a USDA certificate of wholesomeness that's got to be signed in the U.S. But then different countries, especially Asian countries, have all kinds of additional forms that they have to fill out. And we can provide that information for newer exporters, and the more seasoned exporters probably know what I'm talking about. But different countries have different requirements on documentation. For pork, for example, if you're shipping it to China, because of trade wars and it's been going on for years, they're looking for ractopamine-free pork. Not every plant in the U.S. is ractopamine-free. That's a residue that's in the U.S. pork. It's got no validation whatsoever because the ractopamine it's not poisonous in any way, but it is what it is. So there are different countries that have different regulations, but we're very seasoned and experienced in this, and we can guide new exporters or even seasoned exporters who have a question. We can guide them through that.
How has COVID affected the cold chain and perishables markets in general? You know how your prospective customers are thinking about how they run their business, and how has it affected you and Tranship more specifically?
Well, it's interesting. Look, COVID is still a work in progress. I think the ramifications of COVID. I mean, it seems like it's been with us for years, but it's really only been like 5 months, I think, or 6 months. Um, Look, when COVID first started, there was a big decline in export shipping, just because everybody was hesitant or skeptical of what's going on. The fact that restaurants across the world have been closed also I guess drew down demand. But in the past few weeks, we've seen that turn around. There's much more exporting going on right now than before. But look, in the perishable goods industry, people are going to eat. I mean, it's not a matter of are you going to eat? It's what are you going to eat. So in an economic downturn, you replace steak with hot dogs. But you're still gonna, as long as there's people around, there's going to be food for survival. And some of that food may be local, but a lot of it is not local. For example, the world loves the U.S. pork. And we are in the U.S. we're all looking for farm fresh food. But for example, the contrast is in China. They realized rather recently, within the past few years, that frozen food is available and can be delicious. And so, it depends on which market you're looking at, but there's clearly a huge market, regardless of COVID, for the shipment of perishable goods.
Finally, in the final few minutes that we have, as someone who's building this new technology for a market that, as some might say, has been very traditional and set in its ways for some time, what do you what do you think the next 2 to 5 years are going to look like? Are we going to see more companies like Tranship popping up, or do you think the likelihood of that happening is rather low? In other words, is the cold chain ready to adopt the sorts of technologies that you are bringing to market now, or do you think it's still an industry that's set in its ways?
Well, I'll start by saying that, look, change is always difficult, right? Even in your personal life, let's say you're moving from one place to the other, and change in business is very difficult as well. People are used to doing things a certain way. The market we're approaching is not broke, right? The old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's not that it's broke, it's just that it's inefficient. And automation is here already. It's not that we are bringing automation. And in, looking down the road, automation of this industry and many other industries. I mean, even the cold storage industry. Automation is just part of the future of so many industries, and it's not meant also to replace people, because what we're providing, the service we're providing in the automation, is not to companies go fire your entire logistics staff because we're here. We're actually telling people to reallocate some of their manual labor to business development positions such as sales or marketing, because in logistics not revenue generating, you can now increase your revenues, and Tranship can do the work that a few people did in your logistics department. So automation is here to stay. It's hard. Look, it's a hard sell for people, because automation can be very intriguing. It can be very deceitful. It can be very, it's new. It's what are we going to do with this automation? But it's really meant to improve the whole industry, give people a better experience, increase the margins for companies, for shippers, either importers or exporters. And when we go and we sell our technology to companies, it's such a trying time that some people are fighting for survival. Some people are so busy they don't have any time to talk. Then you got people in the middle that are here or there. But I think that automation is just like the horse and buggy in the car. I mean, the horse and buggy got you from point A to point B. Then the Model T came, and the procrastinators, said, well, the horse and buggy won't get a flat tire, or you don't have to fill up gas. But regardless, where's the horse and buggy today? And today you have a Tesla, right? Same applies for this industry. Automation is here to stay. It's time to embrace it. The old way of doing business it's inefficient and obsolete. And I think that there's a better way to do that.
So Amit, in the final 2 minutes that we have, if people want to learn more about you and Tranship, where can they do that? And what should they expect from Tranship in the next year or so?
Transship.net is our site. You can also get a link there, how to register for free in as little as 10 seconds to use our site. Tranship is fundraising right now, so we are seeking seed investors. And what you can look for us, a year, 2 years from now, we are going to be expanding globally. We have currently a representative in Hong Kong, and we're in the process of getting someone in Europe as well. We've done shipments to Central and South America, and it's just a matter of connecting different markets, allowing people access, even though it may seem intimidating, it's not, access to exporting and to importing, and providing really an all-in-one solution. And really, in the grand scheme of things, because of my background in refrigerated warehousing, we want to be the first smart cold supply chain company in the world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. It was great to talk to you about Tranship.
Thank you, Brian, and good luck to you as well.